This is Shay Bynes, founder and chief fire igniter of Kingdom Driven Entrepreneur, and this is the KDE Podcast Live. With a beautifully diverse panel of co-hosts, get ready for powerful and fresh perspectives of what it looks like to be a Kingdom Driven Entrepreneur. Let's go.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the KDE Podcast Live. We are here, y'all. Another week. I am excited. I can always tell when Shay Bynes is out of town. Because that means Phil is at home holding it down.
I just got to get closer to home so I can get to Malia faster.
That's it. I understand. Listen, we're going to have a great episode today, and I'm super excited to have one of my favorite people here, Justen Miller. We'll bring him on here in a minute. He's been very resourceful and helpful to the KDE community and what we're doing with the organization. And he's also one of our certified service providers, as well as just, man, if you don't follow him on Facebook and read some of that stuff he puts out, it's like, yeah, he makes you stop and think. Good stuff, I'm telling you. So I'm excited to have him on. Hello, Kingdom Culture Ministry. Oh, I could read that without the, I have to put my readers on. I can say it. Yes. Hello to everyone who is joining us in the audience. So we're going to do what we normally do and see what is happening and what has been going on in the world of our hosts. Let's start with Alicia.
Hello. So, broken record here. We're just working on campaign stuff. We're a little under 10 weeks away from November 5th, election day. And so that's spending a lot of time working. I will say, like, something that's recently come up that has been really interesting with me, and God's been sending me back to the word for answers on that is, when people are making donations to a campaign and you need funds in order to be able to operate that campaign, how do you manage that with having, I'm not talking about expectations and making promises. We don't do that. But what I am talking about is when someone's values aren't aligned with yours in many ways, but yet they still want to, but their political values maybe, or what they think you bring to a community is aligned. And how do you handle that? And having them be tied to your campaign through donations and things like that. So God sent me to Nehemiah and, started showing me kingdom leaders in scripture that he's brought up and put in a place of leadership who financially were supported by unbelievers. And so it's been really fun. I just learned that every day I learn a little bit more about what God says about different things in the word. And so, yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Awesome. That's good. And we were just talking right before we went live about having a podcast around politics in the kingdom. It's not going to be what you think we're going to be talking about. Indeed. So we want to make sure, and Alicia and Phil will be taking kind of the lead on that, because y'all don't want me to talk out the side of my neck around it, because I've been said some stuff.
Listen, you like that conversation. I just popping popcorn.
So I'll just kind of, put my voice in where need be and be here to moderate. That's what I'll do. I'll be here to moderate. But I think it's going to be a great conversation. So we'll make sure that's on the calendar probably for September or October, since we're nearing the stage where we are voting. So hello, Carol. Hello there, Miss Polk. So good to see you. That's one of my favorite people here in OKC. One of the best bakers around, y'all. Yes. Listen, if you in OKC, go on and check her out. Awesome. That's why I can't eat it no more, though. She won't even bake me no more since she found out I was diabetic. But I'm not diabetic no more, but that's why, because I left sugar alone. So I'm good. Okay, I digress, because she came into the room. All right, Mr. Bynes, what's going on with you?
Yeah, what's going on with me? I think I shared maybe last week that I have someone I'll be working with in the office. And so with that came making sure the office is presentable. So, we just had some painting done, and tomorrow morning the carpet person will be in there. And so by this time tomorrow, I'll have a new office basically, and things will be looking nice. Let's see. I told you guys that my prices are increasing, and so that's kind of, it's not scary for me, but it's it's interesting. And so I'll be increasing my regular prices, but my membership will stay the same, and we'll see how things turn out. But I think it's time for my clients to understand how great of a deal they're getting when they have a membership. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. I'm excited. I am excited. And I know KDE always has great things coming. So y'all better stay on. Listen, connect with Phil if you in Florida, Fort Lauderdale for is it crazy good massage? I was gonna say good crazy massage, but it's crazy good massage. See, my brain how it be thinking. And make sure you're staying connected to KDE so you know what we have going on. Listen, what's happening with me, y'all? My first 30-day holistic lifestyle, not challenge, but I guess it's an experience. It starts on Sunday. So I'm excited about that. And it really is going to really help women to really learn how to find an authentic flow to how they live and how they move in a holistic way. And being holistic is not just about eating clean. Like it's a whole process. It's who you are from the inside out. So I'm super excited about that. What else is, and personally, y'all, a lot of people don't know that I had gained 30 pounds in a month with these hormones, right? They're gone. The 30 pounds is gone. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. So many lessons around this. The hormone I was on, she was giving me, I was taking too many drops and she didn't know, and it raised it. And boy, my feet was looking like a balloon, and I was back up like almost 2 sizes. I cried. I was like, oh no. And Bray House said, breathe. You'll be okay, mama. It'll go away. It's water weight, but it shouldn't be here. So I'm so happy to be back off of that hormone. And back to my regular space. Oh my gosh, I tell y'all just don't know. So I'm excited about what we're doing on Sunday and all of that. And everybody's giving us some different. So let's see, that's joy. No, this is what I want to say right here. That's for you, Phil. And then somebody said something about you too, Alicia. Hold on. There we go. I always like for y'all to see what folks are saying about y'all in the comments, because sometimes you miss it. And also, someone said they're looking forward to the political conversation. So must be something that's necessary. It is. It is so necessary in this season. So listen, you all, it is time for the specialist segment, and it is right on target. When I tell you God does it, I mean, he does it. I was listening to Joy and I said, oh my God. And she didn't know that we were having Justen on here. And she's talking about marketing and collaborating. Y'all, let's just get on over there to her, because this is just too good. It's just too good. And we'll be back.
Imagine if you could build a marketing team that was as passionate about your solutions as you are. How would that change your business? By harnessing the power of collaborative marketing, you can significantly boost your brand awareness, foster customer loyalty, and drive substantial revenue growth. Now, I want you to imagine a time way back when there was no social media, no paid advertising, no online anything. In fact, there weren't even any marketing departments. Yet somehow, true story, a small group of individuals managed to spread their message far and wide that had ripple effects into this day. You know who that was? Well, that scenario really happened because of Jesus's disciples. Now, with that in mind, I want to explore how the disciples, also known as the original marketing street team, can inspire your collaborative marketing strategies. Hi, I'm Joy Caps, and I help established purpose-driven leaders and kingdom-driven entrepreneurs bridge the gap between marketing and kingdom principles. And today I want to look at 3 tips that you can use to implement your solutions and help them stand out without blending in and looking like everyone else. The first tip, are you ready? Create brand ambassadors. Just like the disciples were deeply committed to Jesus, brand ambassadors are your customers who are passionate about your brand, about what you offer. And ways to do this include making it official. Really, if you have somebody that advocates for you, you can cultivate that loyalty by offering them exclusive perks and early access to things. You can foster community and encourage them to connect and collaborate with other brand ambassadors. You can leverage their influence by highlighting their success stories and testimonials. For example, a financial planning firm could offer a complimentary financial wellness workshop to brand ambassadors in exchange for referrals. Okay, tip number 2. You want to segment your audience for diversity. The disciples came from different backgrounds, but they were united by a common need, desire, and message. And your customers can be segmented in a similar fashion. One way to do that is to identify your segments, understand your target audience's demographics, their interests, their pain points, and put them into those buckets so that you communicate tailored content and messaging that resonates with those segments. For example, if your audience includes both young professionals and retirees, you might create content that addresses that specific challenge, that specific financial goal. For instance, Brandon addresses Henry's, which he can tell you what the acronym means, but it's a very specific segment. You can collaborate with influencers, partner with individuals who reach specific segments of your audience. For example, a fitness brand could collaborate with influencers in different niches, such as yoga, running, weightlifting, to appeal to a wider range of customers. And then you could also create targeted campaigns, those that are tailored to those specific segments. And that could involve using different channels. Some people are more prone to social media and others to email or print. Whatever that might be, you want to choose what resonates with each segment group. An example would be a massage therapy business could collaborate with different niches. Maybe they collaborate with gyms or dance studios or physical therapists to reach a wider audience. And then the third tip, I want you to create a ripple effect like the disciples did. They relied on word of mouth to spread their message, and you can do this by encouraging others to share what you're doing. You can offer rewards or discounts for customer-generated content. You can leverage online marketing by using the right platforms and media outlets like LinkedIn, Instagram, podcasts, lead magnets, courses, webinars, contributed content, blog posts, and more to amplify your message. And you can create shareable content that's visually appealing and engages with the right customers that they want to share with their networks. For example, a holistic wellness coach could offer a free wellness audit to clients who share their positive experiences and reviews on platforms. So there you have it, 3 lessons from the original collaborative marketing street team. Create brand ambassadors, segment for diverse audiences, and create a ripple effect. And as we've discussed, collaborative marketing creates mutual wins through ongoing relationship building. So remember, the greatest marketing is done by satisfied customers. So what tips will you implement in your business? Back to the co-hosts.
Well, since she talked about, gave me a little tip at the end there for the holistic wellness coach. Listen, don't everybody inbox me, but I'll be doing some audits, on how you living. How you living? What? Oh, I went all the way back to Live in Color. Y'all might not remember that, some of y'all, but in Live in Color. Okay, let me be quiet. All right, Phil, Alicia.
That last tip of the ripple effect,
Mhm.
I thought it was pretty cool because she also used the word amplify, and so it's like, yeah, you can do something, you can have people share stuff, but if you think of a way to create a ripple, like and it reverberates, you'll really be able to spread the message. So that stuck with me, the ripple effect and being able to amplify your message or what you're doing.
Yeah, and I really liked tip number 2. Actually, that resonated with me a lot. That segment your audience, because while we try to, do what we do best and do it better than everyone else, right? Whether that be a service or a product, but what you offer, while that might be a unique and a niche thing, your audience doesn't have to be. But we do have to reach our audience in different ways. So I thought that was really valuable for us. I simply put, in the coffee shop, for example, coffee can be for everyone, but where I meet a millennial is not the same place, where I go to meet someone who is older and coming in for coffee talk in the morning. So I really liked what she said about that, segmenting your audience and providing specific content for them. Also, it gives me the freedom to do even more creatively, as far as meeting each of those different types of people.
Yeah, that's good. And the other tip that she shared too, brand ambassadors, that's important as well. I liked all 3 tips. I think segmenting the audience piece for me has been really huge. I did that with my email list.
Yeah.
And that helped. That has helped a lot in how I connect with each audience. I serve people with holistic wellness, yes, but then there's like the people who aren't necessarily executives in a company or running a company or whatever. They're just like, listen, I don't do all of that. I just have my kids here, but I still want to follow you. I don't want to leave your list. What we doing? So I just kind of segmented it, and it works. And I talk on Facebook different than I talked on LinkedIn. So
Mhm.
that segmentation is very important. So I'm glad we talked about that. See, I told y'all it was right on this marketing collaboration, and she used my favorite example, which we were going to tap into with Justin as well, is like the greatest brand marketer ever. That's Jesus,
Yep.
and then he built a marketing team. And I always tell people, you want to know how to brand, you want to know how to market, go read the Gospels. I'm telling you, you will find a lot of information in there on how to do it. I think one of his greatest examples is him with the woman at the well. It's like, man, did he not brand and market?
He definitely created a ripple effect.
Yes. Everything that Joy mentioned here is exactly what happened there. I mean, he didn't have any brand ambassadors with him. But yes, he did. He turned her into a brand ambassador. And she went into the town and came back and was like, listen, I got all these people need to hear your message. Let's go. Let's go,
Correct.
Jesus. Let's go. Right? So good. So good. So I really love that segment. Really love that segment. You're a little bit lagged, Alicia, just so you know.
Okay, I'm going to go on mute
Just a
until I
little
need to
bit.
speak, so that doesn't cause a problem.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Y'all, I be caring about the quality, y'all. So we got to make sure that we on target here. Okay. We care about the quality. We don't do no junk here. Do y'all know we just celebrated 11 years? Was that last week when Shay was up in here? All up in the comments. Yeah. 11 years as a podcast. And our 500th episode is coming up in a couple of months. Whoa. That's like some good stuff. I think that says a lot about branding and marketing, because this podcast has been branded and marketed really well. With the shift, of course, there's been some, but I think that overall, we still moving and grooving. And here we are, year number 11. Y'all better hear it. Y'all better hear it. So we are about to bring in Justen Miller. I'm super excited about that. We're going to do a quick commercial and bring Justin in. I saw him nodding his head while Joy was talking. So we are so on target with what we're talking about today, which is, how do you market and do this thing? Kingdom marketing. What does that look like? I've always been one personally, I used to always tell Shay, I can't find anybody who's like showing me how to do this thing like Jesus. Like, how do I do this like the kingdom? How do I move in this thing like the kingdom? And then here comes Justen sometime later. And I was like, this the dude right here. This is it. So, So we're going to go to commercial. We'll be back. Listen, you all, get your notebooks out. You should have had them out when Joy was talking. But get your notebooks out. Get ready to take some notes. And we will be back after this commercial break with Justen Miller.
We're doing something pretty wild over here. Introducing the Kingdom Driven Entrepreneur All Access Course Pass. Get unlimited access to our entire library of transformative courses to help you grow and thrive in kingdom-driven business. You get over $700 worth of courses for just $12.99 per month. That's right. For just $12.99 a month, you can access over $700 worth of courses, bonus audio trainings, and future course releases at no extra cost. Doing business in partnership with God is not only an invitation to experience God's best in business, it's what you're called to as a citizen of the kingdom of God. We've made this super affordable so that you can learn and grow with us all year long. So subscribe today at kdecoursepass.com.
That music makes me dance too. Listen, KDE Course Pass, I cannot talk enough about it. I have a back seat to the courses that are there and the courses that are coming. And I can tell you all, you do not want to $12.99 a month. I mean, really, you can't beat that. You cannot. The link to join or to subscribe is actually in the description of this podcast. And it'll be in our descriptions for some time to come. So make sure you click on that. That's $13 a month. Can I say that's almost less than the Starbucks coffee? The large one y'all get, the Grande, Venti, whichever one is large. Like, if you can do that every single day, you can do $13 a month. Stop and think about that. Because I know some of y'all be going up in Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, or, wherever you go to get that large coffee and a donut and a muffin or something. Then that's $20.
Why you counting my pockets?
Because I want the people to understand. Sometimes you got to make, I'm the practical disciple. I bring practicality to the supernatural so you begin to understand really, what we're doing here. All right, let's bring Justen on. I am excited. Hey, Justen.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. So glad you are here. We're glad to have you. Myself, Alicia, and Phil. Boy, you got three of the ones who will ask you some questions, and we don't mind digging. And and then you got two. Well, with one in particular, she really can bring some stuff, and she's like the chit chat. So it's no telling what the conversation will be today.
I love it.
So what I want to do is just start with you telling us a little bit about who you are and how you got into the field of marketing.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Justen Miller. I run a business I call Strategic Goodness, and which is kind of my whole story behind how I got into marketing kind of ties around that. Initially, it was just I saw people selling stuff online, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I like the idea of selling stuff online. So I learned how to do like affiliate marketing stuff. I learned how to do, started running some ads on Google, selling, specifically, it was a course that I was selling based on how to learn languages. It was like a language learning course. So that's what I started with. And I didn't have an idea what I was doing. I was just putting ads out. I was breaking even essentially, but I learned a lot of things through the process. And ended up doing a lot of just some SEO work for people, building websites for people, stuff like that. But I really like the strategy and the messaging and the strategy of marketing, of how does sales actually happen and how do they happen well. So I started working with an online ministry in 2014, I believe it was. 2014, an online ministry that had some online courses. about dreams and hearing God's voice and stuff like that. And I put together a promotion for them in the first month that did 48 grand in sales, and they had done like 36K the whole year previous. And I was like ecstatic, like, this is it. I found the way to make things work. But there was a problem. And this was the problem. And there's a couple problems. One, he got a lot of negative feedback from that promotion. Like, it was 5 days, very sales-based promotion, which is all I had known up to that point. So very sales-based, and it kind of broke trust with his email list. There's a lot of people that bought the product, but there was a lot of negative feedback as well. And he told me, he's like, I don't want to run this ever again. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But then I was like, that's the one problem. The second problem that I kind of looked at later, and we realized later, is that all these people that purchased this product that we sold, it had like 1,000 sales of this product at like $50 each. So yeah, so 1,000 sales, which is really cool. We doubled the amount of sales that he had previously to this product. And so, but we realized that people weren't logging in and they weren't taking action. So we sold them something. We essentially sold them air, and they weren't doing anything with it. So to me, I was like, okay, I don't like that. I want to be able to, when I sell people something, I want to make it transformational from the get-go, to where they actually show up to the courses, they show up to the thing that we're selling, and they use it and they get benefit. So that's kind of like the intro of how I got into this stuff. But then but when I had this experience, it took me on a journey to really figure out, how do we do marketing better? How do we do it from a Christ perspective? And exactly like what Joy was saying earlier in the video session, it was like, it was all about, how does Jesus do it? Like, he's the best marketer. How can I learn from him? How can I learn how did he show up? How did he present his message of the kingdom? How did he demonstrate that message? How did he teach people? How did he disciple people? What was the process? What does it look like? And so that's kind of, that's been my journey over the last couple of years, is really figuring that stuff out and figuring out a way that actually makes it work without being so sales focused and such.
That's good.
Make sense?
That's good. So my next question kind of lends its way into what you talked about. So when you said, okay, it has to be different, how do I do this thing like Jesus? Like, what was the first thing, or when did the shift happen, and what was one of the first things you did to exhibit that whole example or framework?
Yeah. So again, it comes down to my name, Strategic Goodness. Because I was reading, this is kind of my aha moment. This is the aha moment. This is something if we get it, I really believe that if we understand this frame, it's a way of thinking, it's a way of approaching it. And if we understand it, it changes how we approach not just marketing and business, but how we approach life. So in Romans 2, verse 4, the second part of the verse, Paul says something, makes this comment, not knowing that the goodness of God leads to repentance. Like, essentially, don't you know that the goodness of God leads to repentance? And repentance, which is in the original Greek language, is metanoia, which means to change the way you think. Basically, changes your perspective of how you approach life and how you perceive life to be. And when you repent, it changes the way you think, and therefore the way you act, the way you show up, the way you do everything, right? And so that's true repentance. So, and he's saying here in this verse, like, don't you know the goodness of God leads to this repentance, leads to this change in your perspective in your life, and so on and so forth. So don't we know that when we experience his goodness, it changes the way we think? In the same way, this is the aha moment. In the same way, when we show up and we lead with goodness, where we just genuinely want to help people, and we genuinely have a heart of goodness toward the people around us and toward the marketplace, and with the products that we're offering and everything that we're doing, we have that heart of goodness, that when we show up in goodness in the same way, it will change the way people think. It will change the way they think about themselves. It'll change the way they think about you as the service provider or whatever it is you're selling. It'll change the way they think about even God and life in general. And so that's kind of what, like, when we lead with goodness, it changes everything. The question is, how do we lead with goodness, and how do we do it strategically? And that's what, again, that's, for me, that's the story of the whole Bible. Of like, if you read the Old Testament, it's a story of how God showed up to man, and wherever man was at, he showed up and he gave them the best thing he could give them in those moments to lead them to the main thing, which is Jesus.
That's good.
That makes sense. So it's like, that's the story. It's strategic. He was strategically setting things up and meeting Abraham where he met Abraham, meeting like Moses where he met Moses, giving the people the law when he gave them the laws so it could be a schoolmaster. They would know that they can't do it, to lead to Jesus, to set it up for Jesus. Does that make sense? So
it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense what you said. As you were talking, I was thinking about how I relate to my community, and it's much in the same way. It's like, I really care about your transformation. I care about you changing. That's why, like you mentioned, the courses, right? And I'm really funny about that. I talked about this last week, but not just the courses. Like, I want to walk you through the process. If you're not getting it, come on, let's walk through it, because I need for you to get this thing, not that just because I created a course, I want you to take it. Yeah, I want you to take it, but I want you to not just go through it. Like, I have a whole certification program, and I tell them you have 3 months, and it's not the KDE one, it's my certification program, but I give you 5 months because you have to stop and process. And if somebody goes through 3 lessons in a week, I'm like, oh, no, you need to go back because you didn't process that thing. Because I want them to get it and leave really not just saying I got a piece of paper, but I changed, I shifted through the process. And I think that's really important when we are in business and we're doing this thing for God. I tell a lot of the coaches I work with, well, you're a transformation agent. That's what you're called to be. So when they say transformation coach, we're all transformation coaches. So if you're a coach, that's what you're called to do, transform. So I love that you shared that. I love it, love it, love it. I'm gonna give Phil or Alicia the floor because we could keep talking, because me and Justin can talk. So I'm gonna give
You making space for me, Alicia? I guess so. All right, so then I'll jump in. I was just thinking about what you're saying, like how it was strategic and how Jesus set everything up. And it made me think about like the shifts and the changes that I'm making in my business right now. So going up on my price point, right? A lot of people would look at that and be like, well, is that really goodness? Because, when it was lower price, more people can get it. But as I started to think about why I wanted to go up on my prices, people they weren't taking advantage of the lower price anyways, right? Not at the level that they were supposed to. And so by me going up on my regular rate, it's going to make the membership look even better. And the membership will help them use massage a little bit more often. So that's kind of like the thought process behind it. So my question is, that's something I just came to recently. So my question is, how has there been a vast difference between where you started with this strategic goodness and what you're starting to see now? Because I'm pretty sure there was growth along the way. So, yeah.
Yes, it was massive growth. And it's a lot of, like, again, at the core, I guess the best way to explain it is to put it back into kind of a framework that I like thinking strategic goodness, breaking it down into a framework of how I like thinking. And it comes down to 3 things. Number 1 is you want to take time to meet people where they're at. And excuse me, my camera sometimes flashes out on and off. I don't know why that is, so I apologize. But anyway, so number 1 is you want to take time to identify where people are at. And so that's when we take time. Again, it's like God meeting humanity throughout the whole journey. And so what he did is he identified, okay, this is where humanity's at. Like, this is where Abraham was at. Like he had this belief, for example, he met Abraham in this. He identified that Abraham was in a community, in an environment, in a culture that believed that you should sacrifice your son. And like that was a core belief that he had. So that's the first thing, meet people where they're at. or identify where they're at. 2 is to meet them where they're at with full empathy. So God met Abraham where he was at and said, hey, go sacrifice your son, because he met him with what he thought he should do. He met him with the language and the thought process that Abraham had at the moment. And so then he gave them, and this is the third thing, is once you meet people where they're at, you want to give them the best thing for them in the moment. So he led him to the mountaintop, and guess what? In that mountaintop, right before he was ready to sacrifice his son, he stopped it and said, no, this is not actually what I want you to do. Here, I provide the sacrifice. And there was a ram caught in the bushes. And so it's like he did this because he was taking time to identify where a false belief that Abraham had, a belief that he had, meeting Abraham in that belief, like, hey, this is what you believe. Okay, let's do that then. But then 3, giving him the best thing in the moment, which was saying, hey, actually, that's not who I am. That's not how I do life. That's not that's not my character. This is my character as I provide the sacrifice. And that's like, it's a whole shift in Abraham's psyche and his thinking. So knowing this kind of model and framework, as I started implementing this, I started, instead of just doing a blatant sales thing, this is one of the first things I started implementing in it. Instead of just doing a blatant sales thing, what I would do instead is we give away a free lesson that whether people bought or not, they get value. They get something good. We gave them the best thing for them in that moment. So that was like that's the first thing I implemented, because I would do these like 5-day promotions with people and multiple different online ministries and stuff like that. That was kind of my foot in the door, I guess. And so I do a quick little 5-day promotion, but I make those 5-day promotions, instead of just sales based, I make them transformational based, where we would lead people through a journey, a short journey where they got incredible value, whether they bought or not, then say, hey, do you want to continue the journey? If you want to, here's the offer. And if you don't, then don't, like, that's totally cool. We don't care. And it's like, it created this, it actually worked better, just as good doing it that way. And people left with something good instead of just being sold to. So it's like, that was my first kind of iteration of like thinking about this and saying, oh, what can I do with that? And then since then, it's just been like my whole framework of all how I create marketing funnels and how I strategize everything is based off of, okay, how can I make sure that in every touch point that people have with me, that they're leaving with some sort of goodness, that they're like, oh, that was really good. I like that. Oh, I like this guy. And it builds trust. And when it builds trust, then they want to share it with other people. So it's, yeah, that's kind of, does that answer the question?
Yeah, it answered the question. Yeah. And what I heard in that was, it's like you started with the specific thing that you did, and now over the time, it's like you built a system. All the things you do have some strategic goodness wrapped in it. So that's good. Thank you.
Yeah. I love that. And it goes to the someone shared something this morning about, pretty much what they said is that, in so many words, God can do more with you when you're actually doing something than when you're not doing nothing. So if you get it wrong, if you make the mistake, if you fail, it's okay. God can do something with that rather than you just doing nothing. So I heard that same, like you were like, you got to try something. Let me get out there and move in this. And I love that. And I want to encourage people to listening to this is that, you got to test the thing sometimes. It's like, God is okay with you testing a thing sometimes to see, I love that. And I love where you were like, people were like, this is good. I want them to get goodness. I want them to leave with something good. And having that I believe you have a hope, you call it a hope statement, I believe is what it is. Having that hope statement to hold on to for when you're creating, you can explain what your hope statement is here in a minute. Having that hope statement sounds like it's how you actually built that process out from that hope statement. So share a little bit about what your hope statement is, as opposed to having a tagline. So,
yeah, I call it a statement of hope, which the idea is every message. Okay, when we're in the marketplace, our goal should be to specifically take one sort of message and really hone in that message and share it well with people. Like Jesus' message, in a lot of ways, you could say it was the kingdom of heaven is at hand. It's available for anybody who wants it and desires it. And so it's like, so that was his core message. And then everything that he did was to back up that message.
Mm-hmm.
And to demonstrate that message, show that message is true, and so on and so forth. So when we identified the core message that we're bringing into the marketplace, and then we want to kind of have a statement that rallies up the troops, as to say, that creates a movement with your message. And that, for me, that I call it a statement of hope, where it's like, when people hear it, they're reignited for the message. Like the statement that I tend to use a lot, and you can change it up a little bit. It's always kind of in the works. But one statement of hope that I've used quite a bit is, remember, goodness beats greed. And so it's like it shows what the message that I bring, which is based off of leading with goodness instead of greed. It focuses in on that message. It reminds people of that message. And it's something that, oh yes, if I just focus on goodness, I'm going to do better with my business. Like, that's the belief I want to establish in the marketplace. So goodness beats greed is kind of a statement of hope of that solidifies that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. That makes perfect sense. I wanted you to kind of share that a little bit. I think it's just different. And sometimes we need different. That's one of the reasons why I was able to really, trying to get Alicia back on. I was able to connect with you because I'm different. You know, people, y'all got to see I'm different. Okay. And I was like, I need it different. And I think people need a different kind of, hope when it comes to marketing and sales, and what that looks like, especially when it can look like a bunch of icky stuff make you itch, you know? So thank you for sharing that. Alicia, do you have anything? Because you're just quiet over there. We don't have time for that. Nothing? She's over there thinking, or she's stuck in internet world.
Yeah, there might be a lag.
Okay, there she is. All right, we're gonna maybe take your video off, and then if you have something, just kind of private message me or something, and talk via audio or what have you. So, you know, sometimes the internet just do what it do. That just is what it is, right?
I think that's going to be her first thing when she gets when she wins the mayor election. She's going to bring high-speed internet to her area. I'm the candidate for fiber optics. Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh. You have anything, Alicia? Let me see. She said yes. That's what she said. I'm looking at her comments here. She said yes. We have a private message back here. So Phil, do you have anything else for Justen? Because I can keep going. You know,
I think Alicia's about to jump in there. Go ahead.
Oh, there she is. Alicia.
Yeah, so we'll give this a go. I don't want to be a distraction, but Justen, something that really sticks out to me about the story that you shared and about how this happened is that there was this shifting from really kind of like a worldly way of looking at doing this business and doing marketing to all of a sudden what was inside of you, like the Jesus inside of you didn't resonate with that because of what was being provided. And I just really love that. And I'd love to hear you go a little bit more deeper into that, like that discovery process of how to both do the job of representing the best interests of your client at the same time as you are providing kingdom quality value to the world. That just, like, I don't know, like that is such a breath of fresh air for me in kingdom business that you've found that way of doing things.
Yeah. It was a fight, I'll be honest. And it still is sometimes, where, because the simple reality is we were taught a certain way of doing marketing. And there's some benefits to some of that stuff, but if it's twisted, if the mindset behind it is based off of greed or self-preservation or just trying to get people to do what you want them to do instead of what's actually good for them to do, then it's a tough world sometimes. And sometimes I catch myself where I'm like, wait a second, I'm just trying to get a sale here. My perspective is off here. And I need to go back and center myself in Christ and just be aware of, like, okay, what's he doing? What does he want to bring to the world through me? And so it's like, and that's kind of what it started with for me. I feel like there's a element of identity that I had to step into first, of recognizing how Jesus himself approached life, and how he approached, like he started his ministry. This is the thing that just rocks me, is like when Jesus started his ministry, like the logical mind would think, why didn't he start earlier? But he waited until he was 30, and he didn't try to force the ministry to happen. And instead, he was at a wedding in Cana with his disciples, and his mom's there, and they run out of wine. And when they run out of wine, his mom comes to him and says, "Hey, you should do something about this." And in his humanness, he didn't need to, like a lot of times when we see opportunity or whatever, we jump on board right away. We're like, oh, we're going to make this happen. We're going to make this work. It's like this lack-mindedness where we feel like we need to take hold of all these things and make these things happen. Jesus didn't do that. Instead, he's like, no, it's not my time yet. Do you know what's going to happen if I actually step into this? And then his mom didn't even listen to him, which is funny. Or because she looks at the servants and says, hey, just do what he tells you to do. Like, she's the one that jump-started Jesus's ministry, where he wasn't forcing it to happen. He was just walking as someone who knew his Father, who was only doing what he saw the Father do and say, and was so solid in his identity that he didn't need to force things to happen. He didn't need to feel good about himself and prove himself. He didn't need to. He was already satisfied in his Father. And so, but when that opportunity came and it was kind of given to him, where his mom was the one that gave it to him, he stepped into it then, because he was moved. And then it says he was always, everything before a miracle happened, or he even taught the crowds, it says he was moved by compassion. And so it's like, that's the core of what I've learned to be the core of everything in life, genuinely, but also like specifically in the thing that we're called to do with marketing, whatever it is what we're marketing. Like we tend to be so opportunity focused and performance focused, especially in the US, that we kind of forget how to just live and how to show up and trust that God's going to bring the increase, that he's going to put the people in front of us and the opportunity in front of us, that he's going to do it. And yes, sometimes he may ask us to take that step and to start promoting ourselves, but we follow him, and we're not just trying to do it for our own benefit or because we need to prove something. Does that make sense? Like, this is just me going kind of thinking through the journey, and like, that's the foundation that we have to build off of.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I love it because it almost resets like this hierarchy of priorities, in that we're going to do kingdom business first, and we're going to trust him with the details of what the rest of it looks like. And it just is really awesome. I've loved listening to you talk about it.
Come on. I like the comment here that you were just sharing there, Latera. Yeah, this is an approach to sales that asks, what's in it for the client, not how much money can I make off of this person. Exactly. That's it. And that's my message, is like, how can we create things and provide services in a way that's genuinely just the best thing for the client, while also being the best thing for us at the same time? Because it's like we have to do that. And if we show up in that way, then people aren't going to feel taken advantage of, and they want to actually do business with you. Like they'll trust you more. And like, that's the whole key.
Yeah, that's good. Feel like you got something.
Well, I had another question, but I think you kind of answered it, but I'll ask it anyways, because you might get a different take on it. Okay. So the question that I have here is, how has your understanding or revelation of strategic goodness shifted from when you began this journey?
I don't know if it really shifted that much. It's more of it became more mature, I guess, where I've started seeing the benefits of it, and I'd start doing this. I catch myself doing this even and practicing this in various areas of life, where if I'm out with coffee with somebody, for instance, like I'll take some time and be like, okay, I'll ask myself, where is this person at? Again, one, identify where people are at. I'll ask, like, where are they at? And I'll ask them questions about it. I'm just like, I'm doing relationship. I'm genuinely curious. Like I have compassion. I want to help them or be a benefit to my friend group, whatever. Right. And whatever the context is of that getting that coffee, but I'll ask that of like, I'll dig into like, where are you at? What's going on? And as I see things from the spirit as well, because it's not just, we need to see beyond what people say, because a lot of times people lie to themselves and they lie to us, but we have to see beyond that. And that we have to do that through the spirit, but we are identifying where people are at in that moment. And then we're like, okay. And we're meeting them there. We're recognizing, we're bringing awareness. And we're not saying, no, you're not dealing with that or whatever. Like, no, we're genuinely meeting them there with their language, with the way that, with empathy that shows that, hey, I'm here with you. I care. I'm like, it doesn't need to be a certain thing. Then we ask ourselves, what is the best thing I can give this person right now? And that, I think that's the thing that we get like, this is the key. Again, it's the key to be moved by compassion, be moved by wisdom, flow with the spirit in this, because when we flow with the spirit in this, then we'll give them the actual best thing for them in the moment, not just give them everything. Like we think, like a lot of times we have this idea of value being like just giving everything. Well, people can't handle everything. And so it's like, don't give them everything, but set up like stair step it, make it simple. Like, what's the best thing I can give in this conversation if I'm in a coffee shop with this person? Or what's the best thing I can give when people read my ad on Facebook? What's that best thing I can give them in that ad right away, where they don't have to do anything, but then it also sets up for the journey, because I know there's more that they can get. And so it's just guiding and leading people through a journey instead of trying to sell them on stuff. It's instead of trying to control or force people, it's just meeting them there and genuinely giving them the best thing for them in that moment. And once they click, what's the best thing I can give them on the landing page? Again, we just keep asking these questions. And as we do that, it's matured over the time, Phil. That's kind of the answer.
Okay. Okay. And as you say that, what I was hearing is that like, it's probably your discernment in sensing what the person needs is what's developing faster, right? You can weed through what they were saying before, and now you can actually hear what they really need in the moment. Don't let me put words in your mouth, but that's what I kind of gathered from what you were saying.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, for sure. And also just like, I guess the shift has been also with that in marketing specifically. Like, again, sometimes I catch myself thinking from the wrong perspective, not from the strategic goodness perspective. And so I'll write an email or something like, oh, we need to get sales. We need to get this. My mindset's a little bit off. But as I'm maturing with this message and being more intentional with it, it's become like, I'll become more aware when I'm in that state where it's a little bit off. And I actually start feeling it in the spirit. Like my head will literally start to like hurt, where I go into this performance mode because we're not created for that, the grind mode, grace over grind. But we go into that grind of performance, and like my brain will literally start hurting. My being will start kind of hurting because it's not where it's supposed to be. And so then I know, oh, I'm out of alignment here. Oh, and it's usually because, oh, I've been focusing wrong on this thing over here, and I get to go into strategic goodness instead. And so it's like, I guess that's the maturing aspect of it. But yeah, it's like being able to also discern better and stuff like that. That's a huge part of it.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. You know, as you were talking, a couple of things just came to me. And one is, you mentioned earlier, identity, understanding who you are and moving in that, which kind of lends its way into authenticity. And I thought about that with Jesus at the wedding, right? He was just authentically being who he was. Like, I'm just, I know what I'm here for, but it's, let's just, we at a party right now, Mom, let's just party. Can we just do that? And his mama was like, well, yeah, in order to keep partying, we got to have some more wine. So let's do what we got to do. Right. So, and him being not just the son of God, but the son of Mary, he was obedient in that, but he was still authentically being who he was, right? Jesus. And so my question is, for people who like struggle in the area of marketing and sales, because that's what it is. Marketing is for sales, right? In the area of marketing, what are some tips you would have for them to show up authentically as who they are?
Tips for authenticity. I would say it starts with, again, the foundation of being able to show up authentically is becoming aware of yourself and why you're showing up, and just becoming aware of how you're actually showing up. Because if a lot of times we have these subconscious beliefs where we don't think we're good enough, we don't think that people want to hear our message. Like, oh, there's so many other people saying the same thing or doing the same thing. What matters if I do it? Like, why am I the one doing it, or whatever? We have all these different false beliefs about what we offer and how we can show up. Or we think we need to prove ourselves, or we have this idea like, oh, nobody wants to hear my voice, or I'm bad on camera, whatever the thing is, right? Like, we have all these different limiting beliefs. And so I think to really show up authentically in your marketing, it's to just break down those beliefs and let go of them and recognize that you can already be solid in Christ, where it doesn't need to look a certain way. It doesn't need to look like the models that everybody else is saying. And you get to be like, oh, how can I be moved by compassion here? Lord, give me compassion for the people I'm called to serve. And what does that look like? How can I and then we start kind of, like Joy says, mindset issues, take care of the mindset issues, but then also invite creativity into the process. Because I think there's too much, especially in the marketing world, there's too much frameworks and all these different things where you have to do it this way, you have to say it that way, you have to post in this manner, you have to post in that manner. And it kind of gets rid of the creativity part. But true authenticity is going to have some creativity in there. It's like a kid who, like, if you're an authentic kid and you're playing, like I remember when we were younger, like I have two siblings, and we would literally have a game of house going all summer long, where I'd be the dad, my sister's the mom, and my little brother was the kid. And we were creative in it. And it's like that creativity, like that's what we get to flow from. And you're authentic when you're able to be creative. And so when you're like, I think that's the permission that people need to have, is how you have permission to show up as creatively as you want to. And you can be inspired by other people. Look at other creative people and like, oh, I like the way they did this. This is funny. Okay, let's do that. Let's do something like that. And just be creative and fun with it. And I think we got to have permission to do that.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
While at the same time meeting people where they're at. That makes sense.
Yes.
So it's like,
it's perfect. It's perfect. I always tell the story of when I was creating the structure for your season course, and I was so stuck on landing pages because I'm as much as Joy says I'm really good with copy. I'd be like, yeah, okay. I still go, okay. I just tell a story, and I was telling Shay, I said I'm having a hard time with the landing page. Like I just. I'm not really, and it wasn't structured for your season. It was another something else I was launching. And she the next morning, she said, I'm sitting here ironing. She said, you're really good with just video. Your videos are excellent. If you thought about just doing a video and then kind of just, summarizing on the landing page what you said in the video, that's it. You don't have to come up with a whole bunch of copy. That's the Holy Spirit. Your voice is vocal. I have it. My marketing voice is vocal. That's what I always tell people. That's my marketing voice. It's vocal. And that's what God gave me. So I created a whole video around it and just did a little bit of summarizing and was like, okay, if you want it, and that was good for me because I'm creative when I communicate vocally. So I love that. It's not where I had to come up being creative as far as in how I designed the landing page and all of that, and I remember in 2023 or 2020, maybe the end of 2022, God told me to stop designing fancy landing pages and just make it like a letter. And I was like, what? Just make it like a letter and kind of break it down and put bold. And that's what I've been doing since then, because he hasn't told me to create nothing cute and new. And creativity is different for everybody. I put out the thing about the 30-day holistic challenge I'm doing, and God was like, just go over the square and create the button and put the description, and that's it. I was like, that's it? No long page, nope. This is what they get. This is what it is. If people don't like it, then it wasn't for them anyway. And so that's what I did, because it's important to me to be who I am. And so I love that you shared that, because it's different strokes for different folks. Or
as I like to say, different streaks for different freaks.
There you go. Y'all, I don't have on my right glasses, so I have to read that stuff later. Alicia, you have anything before we begin to wrap this up? I want to wrap it up with Justen sharing just a few things, but I want to see if you had anything. You're good without the video too. Your audio is perfect. I guess she doesn't. Okay. Well, she'll pop on if she does. Before we leave, Justen, I'm gonna put a couple of these comments up.
Yeah, who still does ironing?
I know. If it don't come, the wrinkles don't come out in the dryer. I don't understand.
That's funny.
Oh goodness. Oh well, thank you, Joy. I appreciate that. I really do. Phil had to go, by the way, you guys. He didn't just pop off. Shay is gone, so that means he's in charge. You got things to do. He had to go get the baby. Before we leave, Justen, first off, this was really good. I loved doing this. I knew what the audience would get because I know what you give. And so I was like, he's not going to come up in here with this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strategy. That's not how this works, right? Strategic goodness is not about strategy. Is not about a step-by-step process all the time, y'all. That's just it. Okay. If that was the case, you would wonder how God created the universe in 6 days. He just spoke it into existence, y'all. Creativity. But I want you to share with people who may be a little bit scared of marketing, but know they need to make sales. Give them some encouragement around marketing in the way that we've been talking about today, so that they can leave here a little bit more confident than when they came on to watch or listen.
Yes. So the first thing that comes to mind is learning to show up authentically with your message. And so just practice showing up authentically with your message. Practice showing up to social media of like, oh, how can I write something almost every day where I'll sit down and I'll write something. And if it's not writing, if it's video, do video, whatever it needs to be. Just a second. Ooh, I had it come, but then it disappeared. Anyway. So it's like, yeah, be creative. The word creativity. Yes. Like be creative, like learn how to show up authentically with creativity while meeting the people that you're serving where they're at while using strategic goodness. It's like that fine line of like being your authentic self and truly giving people the thing that they need to have at the same time. So it's like, and just learn how to do that and start showing up, like start asking questions like, okay, where is my audience at? What are they thinking right now? What are 10 different things that I could teach them right now that's on my heart to teach them? List them out. Then go and just simply show up on a consistent basis. Find that whatever that consistency is for you. I recommend daily, but if that's too much right now, start less, once a week, whatever. But start just showing up with your message and showing up to your audience with your message in some way. And that will get you the confidence, that will get you, because yeah, if you have this strategic goodness mindset behind it, where you're like, okay, where are people at? Okay, if you're writing specifically for Facebook, you're at, again, the way you show up on Facebook is going to be different than LinkedIn because of where people are at, the mindset that they're in, and who they're at. Because if I'm on Facebook, I'm just kind of scrolling mindlessly, just like, oh, this is interesting, that's interesting. So if I write for somebody on Facebook, I'm going to start with some kind of hook that they find interesting. That's just an interesting thing of like that stops the scroll. But then I'm just going to show up and just going to share stories and be authentically myself, tell my story, not try to, like, again, a lot of times we think we have to show up in a certain way for certain people. So we put on a mask and we like, oh, I have to show up I can't tell them this because that's too close. That's too personal or whatever. And it's like, yes, there's some stuff that you shouldn't share, but at the same time, when you show up with that authenticity, you'll share some of those things. Right. And as you do, like it makes you a real person that people want to do business with. But then at the same time, you show up as the guide, as somebody who can help people. And you're not just spouting stuff like just to get friends or whatever. You're being a guide. You're showing up in strategic goodness and you're helping people in some way. And so if you learn how to do that, where every single post has just a little bit something good for people, and you practice that, I think that's the best way to get started. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. I love that share, and I hope it encouraged some people. I'm thinking about one person in particular who's on here, and she knows who I'm talking about already because I just love her so much. You just mentioned, something that really can help people to begin to establish themselves in a different way. When they're trying to market online, because it can be, it can be a different kind of jungle out there when you're marketing online or, trying to do this whole social media thing. And so I love that. And, I try to share once a day and I love it. My hook is my picture. I always share a picture of what I have. And then when you said make them stop scrolling, that's what makes them stop. Like, oh, wait, hold up. Yep. That's what makes them stop. Now, a lot of the people will go, oh, you look beautiful, blah, blah, blah. But the majority of them are reading what I say and they're responding one way or the other. And I love that. I love it when I share about the whole elevated being thing. I'm going to share something today. Every time I share the community to join it, I get people coming over to join based on that picture and that share. And being authentic and vulnerable is not an issue for me because God told me that's how I'm building my brand. So it's not an issue for me. So I show up, my story today might be around why I have Barbie on and why it's so important, why the Barbie brand is so important to me and how I cried at 14 years old because my mama made me give my dolls away. No, what it'll be, but you have to do something that's going to make people take notice, and it doesn't have to be like everybody else. And when I first started doing it, Justen, I said, I don't want them to think I'm being like vain. But one of the things that God said to me is your looks bring people to me. I need for you to be who you are. And I had to get over that vanity. It was like it's not about vanity. It's about how I made you and created you to be. I made you from head to toe show up that way. That blew my mind. Coming around the curb walking, I was doing this to a tank top. He said, stop it. I made you that way for a reason. I gave you the curves. I gave you the look. I gave you every part of who you are because I want people to be attracted to you. That blew my mind. So that's why y'all see pictures all the time. So I want to thank you for that. And I thank you for joining us today. This was so good. Y'all know we'll have Justen on again, talking about this whole marketing piece, because it's something that is like a thorn in people's side, is the marketing piece. You want a business, you get out there, and what you do, you put on Facebook, I'm in business, and that's it.
Yep.
It's a whole other thing to it, right? So before we leave, let people know how they can get in touch with you and what you might have coming here in the future or now.
Yeah. So the best thing is just go to strategicgoodness.com or find me on Facebook. I'm not sure what my Facebook link is, but the Justen Miller is Justen Miller and spelled with an E, Justen. So a little bit different, but yeah, if you look that up, you should find me. But Strategic Goodness and .com, there's videos you can sign up for there. Also, a video that you can watch that goes in depth of more of marketing processes stuff is go to spiritledcreator.com. And
yes.
Yeah, because that will get you, like, there's a video that I created on that page, and it shows what I'm kind of working on behind the scenes that hasn't launched yet, but it's going to be launching hopefully in the next couple months. We'll see. have a lot of work with clients that I'm doing, so I'm prioritizing that before I launch my own stuff. But it's going to be a community to basically build marketing for online mentorships and stuff like that. So, but that will give you a great breakdown of how I look at marketing. So if you want that, it's 45 minutes, I think, or something like that. You'll get a lot of value.
That's a lot of value. 45 minutes. Y'all better jump over there and get that. I'm gonna jump over there and get it. Let me go get it. That's good stuff. Justen, thank you so much for joining us this week. Listen, everyone out there in the audience, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Listen to it again. This time have your notes, because some of y'all didn't have your notes. Some of y'all might be driving, doing whatever it is that you do. You better not be driving and live. And that's what I tell people. That means just drive and listen. That's it. Okay. So I want to thank you guys for joining us this week. Alicia dropped off. I'm pretty sure her internet just kind of went wonky. We're going to be praying for better internet over there in that area. And again, Phil had to go get Grace Baby, that's what they call her. I get confused at my age. So everyone is saying thank you, or people are saying thank you, Justen, so much. This was so good and so wonderful. We are here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, all the hosts will be here, and super excited about that. What the conversation will be, who knows? But we know it's going to be a great conversation, and we look forward to having you again. Join us here in the live audience. And Justen, we look forward to having you back as a guest. Y'all, we be out for the week. That's it. See y'all next week.